You are now listening to the Serious Growth Podcast with your host, Leo Costa Jr.
I wrote in my hands. Nothing else. You can be at ease, at peace. Don't give me that. Don't give me this. I don't like taking direction like that. You're not my fucking boss. Don't do this shit. Hurry up.
I haven't done that in a while.
Damn. Welcome to Serious Growth Podcast. A truth will be told one way or the other. That shit's gonna come out. But before it does come out, I want to. This is a all bulletins. What do they call that? All bulletins. What the hell do they call that, Carol? All bulletins. Like when you're looking for like a fugitive. It's an all points bulletin, something like that. Whatever that is that's what it is right now. And here's who I'm looking for. This is someone who came out because I need your guys' help. I need your help in finding this person that came out and hammered me on my Instagram. Hammered me. Came out and said I was a loser, faker, hammered me. You know, I may have taken that when I was younger. I may have taken that like been offended. If I'm being honest with you, it's always when somebody, criticizes me like that, because I've been criticized a lot over 40 years. I do it to myself because I always take a stance that's not necessarily popular. It's factual, the stance that I take. It's backed in principles and all that good stuff. So I kind of set myself up for this. I'm kind of used to it. But if I'm being honest with you, that shit hurts. It doesn't hurt like if you're not human. I mean, it has to hurt. That way you have to be vulnerable a little bit, so you can feel shit. If you're not vulnerable, you don't feel anything. That's just kind of, for me, that's just kind of like being on medication like this antidepressive medication. What does that shit do for you? I mean, some people need it, but sometimes it flattens you out. It's like you don't feel anything. What the fuck? Who wants that? I choose to put myself out there to possibly and potentially get hammered. Hey, look, I can learn from people who have got their own views and on training and nutrition. Yeah. Look, I mean, if you're comfortable enough with who you are and what you know, you want people to express their opinion. But my goodness, some people are just off the charts when they express their opinion. I guess that's a good thing. Jay Abraham, the guy that wrote my first 18-page direct mail piece, one of the things he said is, he said, if you have to get people off the fence. In other words, you have to say and know information that's so to the nth degree that a lot of people don't know, that it's going to piss them off, basically. It makes them react. And that's what you want people to do, is react, so they act. They become proactive. And, I thought that was very smart of Jay to tell me that, because I had no idea what I was in for. Holy shit. He wrote the first direct mail piece that he wrote for Bulgarian Burst. And that's the first training course that we wrote as a company. And it just went from there. But that first 18-page direct mail piece, why everybody, I can't tell you exactly what that headline exactly said. I'll get pretty close. I have a friend of mine that would know that because he knows more about what we said than I do sometimes. Why everybody is wrong about how they go about training. Why everybody is wrong. Well, you talk about the crazies and, getting people off their duff, off that fence, but that was really good feedback. I mean, I got, this is kind of gross, but people they were so fired up at me, good and bad. I actually had somebody said, well, you know something, if you were know this much and you would be willing to give all your information that you know for free, money is your God, burn in hell. Woo, baby. That sucker got his ass off the fence, didn't I? And then I actually had somebody send me a condom with what looked like to be, well, in it. Can you imagine that? God damn. But that was a good thing. That was a good thing because that gave us a platform to say, look, here's another way to look at training. Let's share information. The Bulgarians did this. They were so upfront about sharing their information with me. All they did was pass information forward. I never forgot that. And I do that to this day. I want to pass information forward. But I also want to drill down to the nerve. I want to make you respond. So on this particular post that I responded to, I had a guy that was there. He was talking about he was doing partial training, and I said that partial training was actually there was nothing wrong with that in the macro sense, meaning the overall training program. Oh my God. This guy that came out, this is where now I'm getting to. He came out and said I was a loser. I didn't know what the shit I was talking about. Fake this, fake that. And I thought that's really interesting. Well, I reached back out to this guy or whoever it is. Maybe it was a girl. I don't know. If that girl talked like he did, she's pretty awesome. But I said, hey, why don't you come on my podcast? Let's talk about why you think the way you do. I wasn't like, calling him out like in a fight. Come on, let's fight. Let's duke it out on my podcast. No, it was quite the opposite. As I said, sorry you feel that way. You have your opinion. Why don't you come on the podcast and let's talk about what you've learned, maybe that I don't understand. And I'll tell you why I said that partial training belongs in a overall workout, in a bodybuilding training session, in the macro sense, in the big picture. I asked this guy a couple times. Or whoever this person is, I asked this person a couple times, come on, seriously. Crickets. The only response that I got from this person was, I got to think about it. Think about what? What the fuck do you have to think about? I can come up with my own conclusion, but the point is, I didn't offense that like he did. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't have. It's okay that you do. Let's talk about it. So my question is, why aren't you coming on the podcast? Come to the conclusion that it's like that person who's got bare muscles, really tough when they're away from and that you can't be reached. It's either something like that, or you just don't know really what you're talking about. So in that case, who's the faker? I'm not saying that this guy or this person is. I'm just pointing out the facts. Anybody that wants to come on and to Serious Growth Podcast and you want to talk about the way that you train, listen, one of the things I've learned over the years, being around enough pros, what comes to mind is Tony Pearson. There's a lot of ways to skin the cat. There's a lot of ways to get results. I wrote training programs, and I had my philosophy principles we did as a company. Okay, that doesn't mean that that's the only way. I'd be delusional if I told you that. So maybe you've come across a trick or technique or something that can actually make a difference. Anybody that wants to come on, we can debate. It's friendly. We're not going to get in this. I'm not looking for a fight necessarily. I won't back down, but I'm not looking for a fight. But let's look in the spirit of passing information forward to help somebody else. Please come on the show. I'm good with that. Okay. That was my alert. If anybody sees this person out there, hey, drag them to a mic, turn it on, let's talk. It'll be fine. It'll be fun.
Right, let's take a quick break so I can tell you about our product.
Do you want a bone-crushing grip? Good, because you're gonna get one with the amazing new TRS Gripper. It's a progressive grip builder with longer handles and a special ergonomic design that's like a dozen hand grippers in one. Start off easy and work your way up to quickly build your grip strength from wet noodle to pulverizing. The package includes a video from the world-famous strength coach, Dr. Russ Horine, the man who worked with Leo Costa to help bring you big beyond belief in the Bulgarian Power Burst. Dr. Horine shows you a simple and easy to follow workout plan that takes just minutes a day right from in front of your TV set if you want. So click on the link below and let's get started building you a stronger, firmer, bone-crushing grip.
One thing I want to talk about, I just got some photos today from a guy named Joe Breen. This guy's been around, I think he's been around since 82. He's a great follower of mine. He's a great ambassador for the sport. He's competed. He's been around. The guy's done it. And I just got a photo, 2 photos from him. You know, we've been talking on occasion. He says he wants to compete again. 45 years of age. He's not old by any means, but he's not a spring chicken. 45 years of age. And, you know, like all of us at some point, got himself a little bit out of shape, but he stated a goal. He said he wanted to, and that's really important when you do stuff like this. You have to have a really, a goal that you firmly believe in. And I would say, take it to the point where I always said to myself, if I state this goal, I just burn my bridge behind me. In other words, I can't turn back, because too many people do that. They state the goal, but they really don't burn the bridge behind them. And they know there's a way out. I've dealt with people like that. Frustrating. But Joe said he wanted to make this transformation and he wants to compete again. So I got his photos today. And you'll see these photos here in a minute. And this guy's 45 years of age. He dropped 18 pounds in 5 weeks. And the point that I want to make when you see this transformation that Joe's making, it's not one thing that he's doing. I've talked about stuff like this before on podcasts. It boils down to and implementing the 3 components that are responsible for changing your body in the most efficient way: resistance training, cardiovascular conditioning, and nutrition. It always comes down to that. And the very specific or stated goal. In this case, Joe's going to compete again. The same applies to somebody who is a strength athlete. Doesn't matter. The same applies to somebody who just wants to be more fit. It always comes down to that. Always. Arguably, you could say there's a 4th component, mindset. But, you know, mindset comes as a result of having that perfect willingness to go into the gym day in and day out, put yourself in fire, constantly overcoming the obstacle, not just for 1 month. You guys know what I'm talking about that have been to the higher level. Joe's one of them. He understands that process. In fact, I just had a guy that came on, and it, you know, basically they took a look at the program, because I have you know, in my gym, I have programs that people are on, and I put them on certain programs. And he took a look at this program that I was going to put him on for online. He took a look at that, and he said, you know, this is just, there's nothing really breakthrough, cutting edge about what you're, you know, this program that you want me to go on. And, you know, when people make comments like that, and again, I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't make the comment, but it's telling, because that guy, in, I don't know how long it took him to come to that answer, that this is just basically what he was saying is that this is just another basic program that's out there. You know, in 3 minutes time, I can tell you a lot about who somebody is and how much they know by comments like this person made. I can tell you that he's never been on a bodybuilding type program, because if he really was, it's hard to make a snap decision really on a portion of the training program that you're going on. That's an unfair assumption, analysis, whatever you want to call it. And look, I've dealt with lots of people like this in the industry, and that's what's got me so frustrated about the internet. And it's one of those things I've talked about in another podcast. It's like some of the stuff you can't control. I can't control stupidity. I can't. But what I can do is it's the way that I respond to the stupidity. Some of these people don't know how stupid they are, and that's okay. They don't know that. Unfortunately, those people sometimes influence other people, which can have a negative consequence. But I can tell in 3 minutes time if you know what you're talking about. So I'm okay with that. My job is to take that information, like Joe has done, and stay on the path that always produces results. That path is not the path of shiny objects that are floating around, which is what most people are looking at. What you see and what Joe is starting to, what he's starting to achieve is all the small steps in those 3 components, day in and day out. Joe, in these photos that you're going to be seeing, is far from the end result, but he's made a remarkable transformation to this point, and he's far from being done. And all he has to do, because he's got the right foundation, he's implementing the 3 components, all 3 components, coherently throughout the program. And when I say coherently, that's also easier said than done, because you have to understand how the physiology works. That just because I set you up or you're on a program to start with, that program has to change. Your approach to getting the end result must change. And yeah, I can give you based on how the physiology works, where your body needs to change, because we know, anybody that's in the industry knows that you start entering into a plateau at around the 21-day mark, 3 weeks. And I can tell you from personal experiences that we've talked about it before, that the plateau is where all the real results happen. That's a sweet spot. But that doesn't mean that plateau that you go into doesn't last longer. See, when you are in a program and your stated goal is to do what Joe's doing, and I know what his end result is, these are the things that you have to tolerate along the way. Is constantly changing at the right times, not like these CrossFitters where they're changing every 5 minutes to do an exercise. I'm not bagging on them. It's good for their sport. It's functional, I guess, for what they're doing, but it's not the most efficient way to add real muscle or add real endurance. Some endurance, yes, but especially putting on muscle. You won't find guys that are doing CrossFit training, carrying the muscle that bodybuilders do. And that's a reflection of how the bodybuilders are training, just very much the same way, like the strength athlete. Those people that are CrossFitters, they're not going to be overly strong. They're going to be very strong because the body's going to adapt to what they're doing. They'll be strong enough for what they need, but to actually develop pure strength, no CrossFitter is going to develop pure strength. And if they think they are, those guys don't know what they're talking about. Or those gals, they just don't. That's not how it works. Your body's very specific to a goal that you set. Strength is very different than for what bodybuilders need. That doesn't mean that there's a certain amount of strength in a bodybuilder's routine. But the point is this: you have to be willing to tolerate that along the way, not for just 3 months or 4 months. This is when you set yourself up to be a bodybuilder. I never forget when I heard the term living the bodybuilding lifestyle. I heard this back when I was in the 80s and late 80s and early 90s. And I was down in Venice Beach, and I heard that from somebody. I can't tell you who it was. Probably inside Gold's Gym back then. I really didn't understand that. I didn't understand what that really meant. I mean, I'm smart enough to bodybuilding lifestyle. Okay. And I loved it. I was living in a hotel down there, not too far away from Gold's Gym, training with Platts. That for me was living the bodybuilding lifestyle. I was in hog heaven. But it's more than that. Way more than that. The bodybuilding lifestyle, which is, again, this relates to you seeing the beginning of the transformation with Joe. The bodybuilding lifestyle is an extension of who you are. The bodybuilding lifestyle is your training is, I'll just tell you my personal experience from all this. What bodybuilding has done is developed a blueprint and a template for me. And it's a way for me to, it's developed a foundation of something that I look forward to that holds me accountable. It's like meditation. I do it every single day. And the what comes out of that is a weight training program that I do every single day. Every single day. Do you get what I'm saying? Consistently. I do the same thing with cardio. I do the same thing with nutrition. It's something that I do every single day. It's an extension of who I am. That is part of you being able to get those kinds of remarkable and extraordinary results. It takes more than just saying that you want to do it. So yeah, I can tell you in 3 minutes, 4 minutes, when I'm listening to these people on podcasts or the things they're saying on Instagram, it's really obvious to me that they really don't have a clue. But listen, there is a process to this. When I started 40 years ago, obviously I didn't have this kind of knowledge and this real world experiences. It's hard to, it's hard to just be that in that spot. So I do understand that too. And I'm not really talking about those people that are beginning. I mean, I'm not really bagging on them. And of course it depends on the kind of outlandish responses or remarks that they make. But some of that is just that, look, you don't know how stupid you are and what you're saying. And that's okay. We can live with that. Let's talk about it though. Let's share our information. So I wanted you to take a look at, the transformation with Joe. And I have to tell you something. What the program that Joe's doing will always produce results. Always produce results. The end result is really up to you. But the path and the things and the tools that he's doing every single day, they always produce a result. Okay, if you've got a medical condition, if you've got thyroid issues, okay, but you'll always get results. Those things, you have to deal with those things too. Just like you have to deal, like at my age now, at 66, I have to deal with certain things just because I'm older. But you know what? What I've learned now being at this age, that doesn't make me less competitive necessarily. If I wanted to get back on stage, I could. I don't want to. But what I want is I want to be able to get stronger and I want to be able to put muscle on. I want to put muscle on, but I also want to get stronger in that order. And it doesn't matter if you're 66, if you're 20, the same principles, the same components must be implemented, and they must be done in a certain way. Here's what I want to do for the people that are listening to me out there. I wanted to use Joe as the example. I want more photos coming in to show this. But if nothing else, here's what I want to tell you. And I'm offering this for free. No strings attached. Send me a photo of yourself. All I have to do is see the front of you and the back, front shot, back shot. You don't have to be in posing trunks. None of that's necessary. Just be in some shorts. Okay. I can tell you by the photo that I see what you need to do. You need to, the information that comes back, obviously it would be nice if we had some general information, height, weight, age, what your goal is. And between a photo that I see, knowing what your goal is, and I'm going to ask you to fill out anywhere from 2 to 4 days on a diet analysis for free. If for no other reason, again, no strings attached. It's all this is just to see if you really are on the right track. I had a conversation with somebody the other day because I'm actually part of the business that I do now, besides training, is, and because of my age, I'm actually working in the health, fitness, and longevity market. As we get older, and actually this is not just for the older, because I focus on, there's 30 questions that you answer in this particular group of people that I'm going after. And listen, here's what I've learned, especially during the pandemic, is that focusing on strengthening your immunity as it relates to your health is hugely important. I mean, you could probably understand that if you're not really healthy on the inside, physically and mentally and emotionally, you're a house of cards. You're going to fall apart at some point when the heat gets turned up. And if your immune system is compromised in any way, you have exposed yourself. And I'm going to stand by what I've always said. And I wrote a book on how to strengthen your immune system. I'm not going to even tell you what it is, because I'm not trying to sell that. I'm trying to sell the idea that you need to focus on your inside, your immune system. So I have people, I'm getting to a point here. I have a guy that filled out this 30 questions. I've designed this questionnaire in a way that tells me how compromised or non-compromised that you are. I analyze it. I give you a grade. And just to give you an idea, this questionnaire that I have, which is on my website, is free. It has a $199 value, because I get in depth in digging into your immune system to find out where you're compromised. And I'm gonna tell you this: most people are like, what I've seen so far, they've been no worse than 50% compromise, which is really huge. I see a lot of 30% compromise. And again, here's the thing that you have to understand: 30 or 40% compromise, even 20% compromise, even though you're 60% or 70% non-compromised, that 30% outweighs the compromised part of your body in many ways. And so what I do is I take those areas where you're compromised and we fix it. Most of everything that you're doing that is compromised to your body can be fixed. It can be fixed immediately, easily, naturally, no drugs, all through diet and exercise, because that's where all this revolves around. You'll even find that most of when I'm with this person I'm going to bring up, it's a lot of it has to do with the way your body's inflamed. That exposes you to viruses and sickness and all that kind of stuff. We can change that easily and make it something that's lifestyle friendly. This guy that did this, he was the first person that had, he was 96% non-compromised and 4% compromised. And where he was compromised in the 4%, I mean, I grade conservatively, and I grade based on what the sort of the default number in some of these are. Like, for example, how many hours do you sleep? It's not just random. It's based in principle and what's out there, but I also tend to be conservative. I want to be conservative when I'm dealing with trying to make your immune system better. So I'm going to grade you hard. And so this guy, I mean, the thing that he was non-compromised was the difference between, I'd rather you get lab work done every 3 months, and he was doing every 6 months. It's really a minor thing, to be honest with you, but I grade hard, as I said. And what I do when these people are filling out their questionnaire, I just tell them, I said, look, here's your grade. If you want to know more, just let's do a consultation. I can do a 10, 15-minute consultation, and I can start making you understand things in even a more detailed way. The reason I had this guy come to the consultation was, I said, I just want to congratulate you on the fact that your grade that you got on how strong your immune system is, it's so positive, I can't help you. Congrats to you. Tell me, what you're doing in more detail. And this is where I found out about how I can help this individual. He was following a good diet for the most part, doing a training program. But when I started explaining to him the benefit of the 3 components and how they should be very coherent, and some of the things that you could do to compound results, like knowing when to change, there's small things that you can do to create big results. That's what it really gets into as you're going along. This guy, at this point, he's as good as he's going to get. But I pointed out to him the things that he could do with just some nuanced changes where he could make even more result. That's my job, is to point those things out to a person like this. It turns out the guy realized that he could do more with his diet. So there's always ways to improve what you're doing. Because again, as you're getting older, this guy's 58, as we're getting older, there's always things, it'd be nice if we could just set up a program and just forget about it. It doesn't work that way. It's kind of frustrating, but it's kind of cool, because if you know how to deal with the changes that are upcoming, whether you like it or not, it's kind of cool when you can start being successful and getting over and around and through these obstacles that are going to constantly be in your life. It will not change until you climb into a hole, get into a fetal position, and say, fuck it. Until then, you need to be a part of your success and realize, as I close this show out today, that it's a marathon and not a sprint. And you'll be so shocked at how small changes will make a huge difference. And it won't be an inconvenience to your lifestyle, because it doesn't need to be. Until next time, Joe, keep going, buddy. You guys, gals, send photos. Come on now. Until next time, get serious growth.
Thanks for listening to the Serious Growth Podcast. For more episodes like the one you just listened to, subscribe to us on your mobile podcast app and leave us a review. If you'd like to reach out, you can find us online at seriousgrowth.com. Until next time, train smart and train hard.